I've heard people say, well, we only had anal sex, so I'm still a virgin. I'm Jessica Graham, and I'm a sexual and spiritual activist, an author, a sex and intimacy guide for couples and individuals, and a meditation teacher.
I'm Lance. I'm a bartender by night, and I work in the entertainment industry by day.
I'm Katie. I worked in TV and film up until 2 years ago. I've been living the mom and married life.
I'm Grace. I'm 25 years old, and I'm a nanny in the day and then a bartender at night.
I'm Christina. I'm 34, and I'm an actor and also a youth leader in ministry.
I'm Brandon. I am 23 years old. I work in social media, so like in marketing.
I have not had sex outside of marriage.
That is a true statement.
Yeah. And to clarify, like, I have not had sex in general, so I feel like that went with the prompt. Cool, just making sure. You know, I grew up in the church, and so I was a typical, like, not gonna have sex, not gonna do A, B through Z. I just got out of a 2.5-year relationship. Coming out of it, I'm so much more empathetic to how absolutely tough that is on a day-to-day.
Yeah, I did not have sex prior to getting married almost 3 years ago. It made me test if this wasn't a serious relationship going somewhere, then I could just focus on kind of my other things.
Brandon, I'm curious, the way in which you engaged with your sexuality in your 2.5-year relationship, were there things that you could do, were there certain things you couldn't do, and is having an orgasm with somebody considered not being abstinent?
First of all, to act like we didn't do anything, I'd be lying to you. And to act like I'm this purified angel, like that's just like, this white sheet is just a lie. And that's just being upfront too. So I want to preface with that.
And is that okay?
I never want to minimize sin and how I view that. I never want to run away from that. Sin is a very heavy thing. And unfortunately for a lot of things, we would be fighting. And maybe like doing physical things was easier to either numb that or to make that fight end. You know, like, I'm so mad at you right now, I don't want to be mad, boom, something happens physically, right? And then we're like, oh, I guess we're cool now. And the whole orgasm sex thing, right? Like, that's a thing I still wrestle with. I don't know. I don't have a black and white answer for you. I still dance in the gray area there. But I know that in my relationship, it was used sometimes as a beautiful thing, where like it was a natural thing of love and passion and just being attracted to each other, but then there was also times where it wasn't.
A lot of things we can say sex is, like, I've heard people say, well, we only had anal sex, so I'm still a virgin. And to me, that's like, whoa, like, I had a lot of regular, like, just regular intercourse, you know, before I did that, so, but that's me.
Like, you're more not a virgin than me.
Yes, I have had sex outside of marriage in a committed relationship. Did I want to wait? Absolutely. But love is a powerful thing, and when love comes in, it blinds a lot. I wanted to say, hey, let's just take this time, and if we're gonna get married, let's just wait. We weren't on the same page when it came to that. So when that relationship ended, I made a vow to God and myself to wait. So I do consider myself a born-again virgin, and I'll enjoy sex in marriage like 10 times more than I did outside of it.
I've heard, you know, my whole life, oh, sex before marriage is a sin. But then, you know, murdering someone is always a sin, right? But why is sex before marriage a sin, but after marriage it's not a sin anymore? Yeah. It's just because you have a piece of paper saying, oh, we're married, you know, now we can have sex. So
I agree with you. We make a big deal about it being between God, and that's the whole reason that you're abstaining. So why does this people or some kind of consensus being involved like make it valid now? They don't bring validity. Like, it still is between you and another person and God.
My first time was a positive experience.
My first time was with My first serious girlfriend towards the end of high school. Disorganized and messy and silly at times, but I look back on it really fondly, and we were losing our virginities together, which I think was a really nice thing to share.
I lost my virginity in like one of my first long-term relationships also. We were both virgins, which is good because like neither of us knew what we were really doing. So it was awkward, but it was positive. I mean, I always went into it thinking, oh, the first time I have sex, it's gonna hurt, it's gonna be so bad, my heart's gonna feel so sad that I'm not married and stuff, but I felt none of that. I was like, this is great.
Yeah, my first time was hilarious. I was almost 28 years old and I'm still a virgin on our wedding night. So the honeymoon, it got a lot better.
Argument used so much against abstinence and celibacy is that, how do you know what you're doing? How do you, you're not gonna be trained. I think there's a cool part of learning that process with each other and learning that with one person. And I think that's just something that helps you appreciate and love that person more.
My first time having sex was not a negative experience. It just wasn't necessarily a positive experience. I was 14, and I just decided I had to do it. I had sex in the back of a hot rod car with a guy who was, I think, about 18. The way in which it was positive now, when I look back on it, is that I started young and I had a lot of colorful experiences, some of them positive, some of them negative. But now I'm able to take all of that experience and use it to help other people.
Sex can be just physical.
Great.
Okay. I do think it can just be physical. I've had sex with people that they were cool, but I wasn't interested in anything else other than sex, and then that was it. And they go on and I go on, and it was fine.
It's definitely, for me personally, been something that has been just physical at times, both in and out of committed relationships. I think that's a really important point to make, that sometimes it can be used as a tool or as just a way to blow off steam after a hard day, or something that just doesn't require a deeper connection every time. I'll reiterate, I almost always prefer it when there is a deeper connection. It definitely enhances the experience.
I'll hop in. So I think that sex can be physical from someone's own thought process, but I think you still do know that there's an emotional side to it. And so even sometimes I just have friends that I know have said, yeah, this is just sex for me too, but that's not truly how they feel. A lot of the time, it does mean something more, or they are hoping that it turns into something more.
I definitely agree with that, but I would also say there's the polyamory community, there's the swinger community, there's the kink community, there's the just sex positive community, there's people who go to sex parties every weekend and just have fun with each other. I think there are a lot of communities that you just might not be a part of where sex just for sex is actually a very normal, accepted, and positive thing.
And that's fine and well, but I do believe that when two people are connected in an intimate way, a soul tie is connected, and when you are about to enter into another relationship or enter into something new, you're carrying someone else with you. It's like a web that's being weaved into someone else. It's an emotional attachment. But to some people, I do think that it can just be, I guess, a one and done, thank you, next, whatever. But I do believe that you're carrying a soul tie when you're physically and sexually connected.
I've been shamed for my sexual choices.
Yeah, I've been shamed on both sides because I grew up in the church too, and when I was not having sex, I was shamed by my friends that were, and then once I started having sex, I was shamed by people who were in the church who weren't having sex. Yeah, it's crazy. On either side, I think you're just gonna get shamed depending on the kind of people and the communities that are in your life at that point in time.
There is that aspect of it, of being shamed for not doing it. right? And you know, I work at a place where I am one of very few believers in my company. People being like, you don't sleep with your girl? Come on, bro. You know, and I've had that, and that feeling of like, that pressure of like, am I supposed to be? Like, would that make it easier? Would my relationship be better? And like, and you start going to, is it worth the shame from the church? Is that worth it? Like, and you know, and that's a constant battle.
I always loved sex, and I had a lot of sex when I was a teenager, and I definitely had comments like, oh, Jessica will have sex with anyone, and that wasn't really the case, but I definitely got comments like that, and it never really bothered me. I was always just like, oh, well, screw you, you know, I'm not gonna have sex with you, now that you said that. Now in my life, I get a lot of different attitudes just based on the way I put myself out there, but I do treat it as activism, because I think that by speaking out and being willing to deal with the shame, as well as all the dick pics and propositions I constantly get online.
So sorry.
I mean, it's part of, I think of it as part of the job, you know, but it's really important. And so I'm willing to have people project their own shame.
Just real quick, I want to say one thing I noticed right off the bat, being the only one on the outside, is that I'm certain that it ties into my privilege. I think in my experience, in terms of my parents and things, it's been more cautionary, and certainly from a caring, loving place, and I haven't felt any shame.
Sex ed should encourage safe sex over abstinence.
I want to run.
Yeah, I'm gonna say. Over abstinence? Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and sit down.
Welcome.
The reason why I chose to sit is because although I'm pro-abstinence and I'm celibate, education is education. Kids are gonna make their own choices. There's free will. They're gonna act on impulse. They're gonna act on love. They're gonna act on whatever's present to them. And if you don't educate them on the safest way to go about that, how are they gonna learn? I don't believe it should be over abstinence, but I do agree that it's a big part of education for sure.
Having choice, I think, actually in some ways works for the abstinence folks, because it's like, if it's this bad thing that you shouldn't do, then of course kids are gonna wanna do it. And so I think like by just giving all the information and offering choices, then, you know, people can make a choice.
Yeah, so I think you guys addressed a lot, and I think when it comes with education, because knowledge is power, we have to teach kids why. It is not, don't do this or God hates you. It's not that. It should be, we love God. God sent his son who gave us the ultimate sacrifice, and so we are sacrificing a physical thing that we are naturally drawn to.
I disagreed because I think you're painting just one side of something that's really important, you know, and it's the safety side, but there should also be, if you feel like it's meaningful to you, you should definitely wait until you're excited about doing this, and here's the safe way to do it. I still see an imbalance where now it's becoming taboo to talk about the option of purity. My desire is that we don't allow the next generation to think that sex is completely meaningless. And has no emotion or feeling or reason, you know?
I think everyone has their own journey. Waiting is not mine, but you know, it's yours, and that's awesome. So yeah, just being accepting of everyone's sexuality, whether it be super high or non-existent at all, and just being open to listening to other people's opinions.
All right, that's a wrap.
Oh my God. So what does
Pleasure.
YOLO mean?
I'm so glad you
Pursuit of everything here.
Hey guys, this is John. Thank you for watching this episode of Middle Ground. We love this series and we love to hear what you think about the episodes. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and let us know what other topics you would like to see in an episode of Middle Ground. And as always, please be sure to click subscribe and check out more of our videos.